They look to give him about 20 to 25. Brown told me he's in great cardio shape. It's the physical football shape they're worried about. They don't want him to get a soft tissue injury. They're also worried about the football shape. He hasn't been hit or delivered a hit, so they're going to monitor him closely. As Brown said, we just got him back. We paid him a ton of money. We don't want to lose him again.
Well, we will see him early as the Giants win the toss. They defer. The Cowboys will get this kickoff. They welcome back Jason Witten, who got a huge ovation when he was announced prior to this afternoon's game. With his sellout crowd, around 90,000 set to watch it. Glad you're with us. Let's go. Out to the 25 it comes. Dak Prescott, who seems to be days away from signing a contract extension. That's the thinking down here in Texas. Has gone 32-16 over his 3 years. The Cowboys have won the division 2 of his first 3 years in the NFL. And he likes playing at home. 17-7 here in Arlington. From the 25. Little play action. Prescott wide open. Catch is made. Amari Cooper. And the receiver the Cowboys picked up from Oakland mid-year last year gets 13.
Cowboys open up with a 2 tight end set. Heavy run formation for them historically, and then they come to Amari Cooper. These two guys didn't get a lot of work in the preseason because of the left heel injury that Cooper was fighting throughout August, but yet he is able to create so much separation. He makes it awfully easy for Dak Prescott.
Another guy looking for a contract extension. Here's a guy who got one. Zeke Elliott broke a couple of tackles and picks up 2. Norris Jenkins there for the Giants, and we'll look at those starting lineup after you see the stats from a year ago. You can ball those up and throw them away. Here's the offensive line, and man, are they happy to have Travis Frederick, their 4-time Pro Bowl center back.
Well, the Cowboys weren't real active in free agency. They signed Randall Cobb. You look at where have they improved. The center position with the return of Travis Frederick is certainly one of those positions.
2nd down and 8. Quick slant pass caught. Cooper, first down. And now this Giants defense. They're young. In that draft we talked about in the opening at the end of April, they spent 7 of their 10 picks on defense. See the rookie 1st-round pick Dexter Lawrence up front. They're the linebackers, and they have a rookie starting at corner in DeAndre Baker, pick number 30 in the draft. Prescott off the hands of Cooper. 2nd and 10.
Well, you look at what Dallas has done here offensively on this opening possession. We saw the first play of the game, the throw to Amari Cooper out of a 2 tight end set. That last time they were in 2 running backs. The fact that Blake Jarwin is a former wide receiver gives them a lot of flexibility. And they also really like Olawale, the fullback, and they're going to incorporate them. That's part of Kellen Moore, the new offensive coordinator. Some of the things he's going to do within this offense, it'll give them a little different look than we've seen in years past.
Here's Elliott right side. Delivers a hit and picks up 5. Alec Ogletree is there for the Giants, and there is Kellen Moore, who was Dak Prescott's teammate a few years ago, quarterbacks coach last year, and still gets carded. He's the offensive coordinator.
He doubles as the pizza boy at night. I mean, look at that guy. He's 1 year of coaching, and then now he's calling the shots. You know, Jason Garrett is letting him handle it. Garrett is certainly involved with the offense, but he said he'd be a little amped up today. His first NFL game calling the plays.
3rd down and 5, and the pass incomplete. Cooper was the target. And the drive for the Cowboys, it got off to that promising start, will stall around midfield, and on comes the punt team for Dallas.
Well, the guy who affects that is B.J. Hill. He's working against Zach Martin, and he gets enough of a push, and he got right in the throwing lane of Dak Prescott, and he's trying to navigate him to make a throw to Cooper. Giants come up with a nice stop on 3rd down.
Here's Chris Jones. Only 2 touchbacks all of last year. End over end. And a fair catch by Jabril Peppers, a new Giant, a New Jersey native. After a 38-yard punt, in steps Eli.
This game is sponsored by Pizza Hut, official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Well, here's the 2-time Super Bowl MVP Eli Manning. And the numbers obviously really stacking up. His 15th straight season as the Giants Week 1 starter. That ties a record previously held by John Elway and Dan Marino. He joins that group. There's more to that story. Here's one dropped off for Barkley. And he fumbled it. Recovered by, it looked like Eli Penny, the fullback. And it was Penny, as Saquon Barkley, who didn't fumble all of last year on his first touch, gets it knocked out by Xavier Woods.
Yeah, on the very first play from scrimmage for the Giants offensively. Pretty crazy. He's been so good protecting the football, but Xavier Woods, 3rd-year safety, comes up and he just puts his helmet right on the football. Fortunate that Eli Penny was there to jump on it.
2nd down and 1. Right back to Barkley in a huge hole. Saquon Barkley off to the races, and the home run hitter has gone deep here on the 2nd play from scrimmage for the Giants. Awuzie caught up to him and forced him out, but that's exactly what this kid does.
You're going to see Evan Ingram and then Cody Latimer. They're the ones who are able to seal it and create the lane, and this young guy does not need much. I mean, he is an explosive back. You look back to last year as a rookie and the big plays that he was able to create. Pretty remarkable. Over half of his yardage last year was on just 22 carries. And he rattles a big one off now.
59 yards on the 2nd play from scrimmage. Eli throws, Ingram catch. And Evan Ingram's got another 1st down for the Giants. Last year, Saquon Barkley, as you said, Troy, 8 plays of 50 or more yards from scrimmage, 6 runs. And on the 2nd play from scrimmage, he goes 59 yards here in 2019.
He's a big-time home run threat every time he touches the football, and the position that got overhauled in the offseason for the Giants is this offensive line. That's a great job. This defensive front for the Cowboys, they're not an easy group. But the last time they played on the field, they gave up over 200 yards to the Rams on the ground.
Here's Sterling Shepard, who had a fractured left thumb that he suffered the first day of camp, and he's getting his first taste of action. Here's a comparison: Week 1 last year, Week 1 this year. Omame is gone. Eric Flowers, the embattled offensive tackle, is now in Washington with the Redskins, playing guard the last I read, and they've got Remmers out at tackle, who was with Pat Shurmur in Minnesota, and Zeitler, a real tough right guard.
Yeah, Remmers, who played guard, yeah, he kicks out to tackle here with the Giants. They signed Zeitling, that right side of the line. A big upgrade from where they've been.
Play clock was expiring.
This is the first charge timeout.
So a timeout taken by the Giants. What a start
timeout
for Pat Shurmur's club. And we'll be right back after this from Progressive. Of that Progressive ad, Baker Mayfield and his Browns lost big at home today, and road teams, including Thursday night, with the Packers winning Chicago 6-2 so far the first week of the regular season. 2nd and 6 here for the Giants. Barkley hesitates. Knocked down right at the 1st down marker. We'll see where they place it.
One-on-one with Chidobe Awuzie, the corner. He's trying to fill and make a tackle on Saquon Barkley. This is not easy to do whatsoever. He's able to get him to the ground, but Impressed right now with what I've seen from this offensive line creating these holes. He's had some nice spaces to run.
Sets up 1st and goal. With the ball just outside the 1. Barkley ran into a wall. Many were there. Xavier Woods came up from the secondary and was the first guy to meet him, and now a flag flies at the end. A loss of 2 on the play. Eli says it's against the Cowboys defense.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 96, defense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, against Malik Collins.
Yeah, Malik Collins, and he actually is the one who disrupted the play. He's the guy who got into the backfield that caused Saquon. There's the hit. You're going to see Malik Collins, 96. He's in the backfield, does a great job, but then after this play ends, that's when the shoving took place, and after a nice defensive stop, they move it a little bit closer and still first down.
Eli keeps, flips, touchdown Giants, Evan Ingram. What a start. 59 yards from Barkley on the second play from scrimmage. And that is a crowd silencer here in Arlington.
Yeah, Dorrance Armstrong, he's trying to tie him up. You see Leighton Vander Esch, he's reading into the backfield off of the play action. He's in coverage, and they're just able to slip then Ingram. He does a good job of selling the run block, and then escapes the grab from Armstrong for an easy touchdown.
Ingram had a touchdown catch in each game against the Cowboys last year. He gets one right out of the gate against the Cowboys in 2019. Good start, New York.
Today's game is sponsored by Coors Light, made to chill. Celebrate responsibly.
Aerial coverage brought to you by State Farm, where inside this palace that opened in 2009, the crowd is wondering what just hit them. Cowboys started the game with a football, had a nice drive going, installed in midfield. Barkley, the 59-yard run. Then the touchdown flip to Evan Ingram, and the road team is up by 7. Well, the saga rolled through the month of August. Jerry said Ziku came after a good game by Tony Pollard in the preseason, operating with restraint, thought he might miss regular season games, and said, well, he's got a big heart, now he's got a thick pocketbook too. And then they presented the Ziku on the front, Thatsu on the back shirt to Zeke and his traveling crew.
Well, that's the most one-sided negotiation I've ever seen that Jerry Jones has been involved with. You know, I think he knew all along where he was going to go with it and how important Ezekiel Elliott is to this team. And it just put everyone on notice, if they weren't already, what the expectations are for this year.
Here is Elliott, and he gets 6. Aaron?
And while Elliott said, hey, people thought I was going to sign all along, there were some low times. He said this was not fun holding out at all, and he said the worst part was when Dak Prescott would FaceTime him back in the locker room with all the teammates, and he said, I know he wasn't trying to rub it in, but I just missed being around everybody so much. I wanted to get back there and get this thing done.
Yeah, but let's be real, he was in Cabo. Let's not say he was so sad hanging out on the beach. Pass is over the middle and broken up. Ogletree got his hand in there. Witten was the target, so it's 3rd down for Dallas.
You know a little something about Cabo. I know that. You know, when it comes to Ezekiel Elliott, we all know what he means to this team on the field. What's interesting and what I didn't know is, in talking with Jason Garrett, I asked him, who's the biggest character? Who's the guy in the locker room that kind of makes everybody laugh? He said it's Ezekiel Elliott. And then you talk to these players, and he is a beloved figure on this team. They're glad to have him back.
B.J. Hill is getting looked at after that 2nd down play. 3rd down when we come back.
Game is sponsored by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. And by Corona Extra. Find your beach.
Looked like B.J. Hill might have gotten poked in the eye on that last play. Jogged off. Look at him on the sideline. 3rd down and 4. Pass is caught. That's Cobb. And the new Cowboys got a 1st down. Long-time Packer. A gain of 12 for a 2014 Pro Bowler.
Well, there's the rookie 1st-round pick for the Giants, Dexter Lawrence, who gets a little bit of a push. This is a ball that got away from Dak just a little bit behind, but yet able to make the catch. Randall Cobb, that was the one big free agent that they were able to sign. He replaces Cole Beasley in that slot position. A little bit more of a deep threat than what Beasley was. Not quite as quick, but a guy who's done it many times for the Green Bay Packers.
Good protection. Pass is out of the reach of Cobb. He's got 45 career touchdowns, 41 of them receiving. For the most part from Aaron Rodgers, who I'm sure would like to still have Randall around, but he's now in Dallas, and Cole Beasley's with the Bills, who beat the Jets today.
Yeah, Randall Cobb, he's always been one of my favorites. You know, he's very quarterback friendly. He played quarterback in college and very versatile, and I think those experiences for him as a quarterback is the reason why Aaron Rodgers and now Dak Prescott both talk about how quarterback friendly his routes are. He really has a good understanding of what the quarterback wants.
Tony Pollard, the rookie running back, in there next to Prescott. Quick throw, Witten. And that is career catch number 1,153. Number 2 on that all-time list among tight ends. Number 2 in yardage to the great and now Hall of Fame player Tony Gonzalez. 3rd down and 4. Cowboys hurry it up.
What is that? Here we go, Jumper. Snatch. Hey, get down. Hey, pay 47. Get down. Hold on a second.
Over the middle, pass is caught by Gallup. And the 2nd-year pro has got a Dallas 1st down after a gain of 13.
Nice connection here by Michael Gallup and Dak Prescott. He knows he's going to get hit. He's going to have to hang in there and take a shot. And this is one of those young players here in his 2nd season who I really expect to have a heck of a year. I thought he was a really solid player last season as a rookie. Should have had better numbers, actually. He was more of their deep threat. Just couldn't get quite on the same page with Prescott on a lot of those throws last year.
Toss to Elliott, well played by the Giants defense. Tate Davis, the converted safety, who is in as a starter now. B.J. Goodson has been traded to the Green Bay Packers. The job is Tays, and very good in coverage. That time came up to knock down Ezekiel Elliott.
Well, a lot of substitutions taking place right now. The Cowboys, as I pointed out earlier, a lot of 2-back sets, more than we've seen from them in the past. And we got James Betcher, the defensive coordinator for the Giants, trying to match personnel. Right now, the Giants look a little confused.
Screen, Elliott, right side, gets a block from Zach Martin, and Elliott's got a 1st down. And that's what Dak Prescott has told us about the offense put together by Kellen Moore. A lot of pre-snap movement, guys moving all over the place, and in the end, it's a play we've seen them run 1,000 times, and it's effective.
Well, they're able to come at you a lot of different ways, and they've been mixing up the personnel, but when you have the road graders that the Cowboys have that can still get out in space the way Zach Martin did, gives you a lot of flexibility. The screen game doesn't work for every team.
Carry by Pollard, and Tate Davis is in to make the stop. Flag is down in the secondary. And that official carries it forward out across the 20. Here's a call.
Holding number 70, offense, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, still 1st down.
It's against a 5-time Pro Bowler. who started this year having committed 3 penalties total over the last 3 years, and he gets one here in the first quarter of game 1.
You know, he missed some time last year at the end of the season, and he's missed a lot of camp as well this year. He's been dealing with a back injury and fighting through some of that. You know, those holds typically come when you just, you find yourself out of position, you start grabbing.
First down and 17. Pass behind Jarwin, makes the catch, brought down by Jabril Peppers. And a gain of 7.
There's a defensive coordinator, James Betcher, in his second year, and was with the Arizona Cardinals with Bruce Arians, and a guy, especially as you start getting a little closer to the goal line, he likes to dial up the pressure. He's already gotten a couple hits on Prescott.
Fake it to Pollard. Pass is floated. Touchdown, Jarwin. These Cowboys have a good offensive line, and Kellen Moore has a lot of weapons. At running back, on the outside, and at tight end with Jarwin and Witten back in the fold. He was wide open. Tied at 7. 28 yards. Floated. Wasn't too pretty. Nice catch by Jarwin. Tie game in Texas. Did you see that last shot of you going? It looked like Crazy Legs Hirsch going to the
Yeah, sliding into third.
Jarwin gets a touchdown. He had a 3-touchdown game in the finale at the end of December at the Giants last year. It was the only 3-touchdown game in the entire NFL by a tight end. He gets the first touchdown of the year for the Cowboys this season. Tie ball game. Second possession will start at the 25.
Well, go back and take a look. They got split safeties here, and they got Tay Davis right in the middle of the linebacker. Look at the play action to Tony Pollard here that gets him to bite, and then that is why Blake Jarwin is as open as he is, and the ball gets away from Dak. I don't know that he really had much of a grip on the ball or something, but it came out awfully funny, but Jarwin's able to adjust. This guy is, talking to Prescott, he says he's one of the most athletic guys, maybe the most athletic guy they have, at least on the offensive side of the ball. And even with the return of Jason Witten, they're going to continue to use Jarwin because of the skill sets that he has and his ability to get down the field.
Manning sets it up for Ingram. Good blocking out in front for the Giants. Well played. And Evan Ingram brought down downfield by Antoine Woods after a catch and run of 19 yards.
Tell you what, Jalapeno, the center for the New York Giants, he gets down and he makes a key block that helps spring Ingram. A nice job there to start this drive. This offensive line is off to a good start here for the Giants.
Manning steps through and will run and take it to midfield. Jalapeno broke his leg here against the Cowboys week 2 last year, and then the offensive line was just in upheaval the rest of the year. So they get Jalapeno back at center. Will Hernandez had a good rookie year. Nate Solder, they expect better from him in 2019 than that new right side. So some more help for Eli Manning in his 16th year in uniform, and that is a Giants franchise record.
I think you make a good point, Joe. There's basically 3 new starters this year with Jalapeno missing so much time last season, and then Solder had a tough year last year. He should be improved. So
here's Barkley, spins away from a tackle and gets a first down. It was Anthony Brown who came up to try to bring down Saquon Barkley, and in that mission he failed.
There's a don't feel bad. There's a lot of guys who have failed at this in the open field. He's a heck of a football player. He's hard to, you got to gang tackle this guy. He's just hard to get to the ground. You wonder how much more he can do this year. As great as that rookie season was, 91 catches in addition to the yards that he had on the ground at 1,300 yards rushing.
Blitz, Van Der Esch. That's up for grabs and incomplete. DeMarcus Lawrence came through. Van Der Esch was coming on a blitz, and Eli just got rid of it.
You can see the move that DeMarcus Lawrence, they're running a slant. He comes all the way down to the center. And he's lined up outside the tackle, collisions with Jalapeno, and then he has just a direct shot right in the face of Eli Manning. And Rod Marinelli's defensive front, very active. They like to move around. They're not always going to be where they line up. A lot of slanting, a lot of movement that offensive line has to be prepared for.
Low snap, Manning. Barkley lowers his shoulder, got 9, maybe 9.5, but he's short of first down yardage with a minute to go in the first quarter, brought down by Heath.
You know, all offseason, of course, Eli Manning, all he has heard about is Daniel Jones and when exactly is he going to take over. And there's no doubt Daniel Jones is the future. When exactly is that going to occur is the real question. You don't spend a 6th overall pick on a young quarterback and not get him on the field soon. But I do think that in talking with a lot of people, it certainly brought some attention to Eli Manning and his training camp. It was solid, and he looks very comfortable here today.
Here's Walt again as flag stops.
12 players, defense lined up with a... Correction. Dallas, the Dallas coach called timeout. This is their first timeout prior to the alignment. This is a 30-second timeout.
And Pat Shurmur's hot because he thinks he should have a first down by penalty. But they're granting the timeout before the flag flew through the air. Well, for Eli Manning, the 2-time Super Bowl MVP, we had the pleasure of watching one of those in Super Bowl 42. That was at the end of the 2007 season. He won it again against the Patriots at the end of the 2011 season. 4-time Pro Bowler. 8th most touchdown passes in NFL history. He's been an absolute rock under center. Always answers the bell, and he's been a classy leader for the New York Giants since the day they pulled off the trade with San Diego to get him into that blue jersey.
Well, he really has. He's been a stand-up guy, and you know, but wins have been hard to come by for the New York Giants in recent years, and that's what's going to keep him on the field here in 2019. 8
and 24 over the last 2 years. 3rd down and 1. Manning in trouble, throws it away. Van Der Esch was in his face. And it looks like Shurmur's going to go for it on 4th down. He is.
Yeah, I figured this was 4-down territory for Pat Shurmur, and you come out and maybe you can get a big play off of play action, get Eli rolled out.
Now they're going to throw a flag on the far side of the field
of the offense
for intentional grounding.
However, the ball did not get past the line of scrimmage. That'll be a loss of down at the spot of the foul.
I think you got to look though and see about the contact on Eli Manning as he comes out. See where the ball is on the 35-yard line, and there's contact made, but there's no question it didn't cross the goal or cross the line of scrimmage.
But right now it's a loss of down, so it moves the ball back to the 45-yard line. And it will change the mind of Pat Shurmur, who's still hot about not getting the first down on the penalty prior.
And the contact came after Eli was throwing the ball. And, I mean, those are some of the plays that we see from Eli in a lot of games as a 16-year veteran that just throw it out of bounds. I mean, it wasn't a hard thing for him to do, but now you cost potentially the team points.
So instead of going for it, a fair catch hauled in by Randall Cobb. The Giants end up punting. 4th down and 11 with that loss of 10 yards. It's champ versus champ as Errol the Truth Spence Jr. takes on Showtime Sean Porter in a world championship unification bout at Staples Center. Plus champion Anthony Darrell defends his title against David Benavidez. That's Saturday, September 28th, live on pay-per-view, and Errol Spence Jr. out on the field before the game saying hello to both Jerry Jones and Charlotte Jones-Anderson. 18 seconds left in the quarter. Drive starts at the 7. Pollard gets 2, and that should do it for quarter number 1. Exciting first quarter here in Arlington, Texas. That's the end of 1. Score 7-7. Fox NFL Sunday returns after this from your local Fox station. We'll hear from Mike Pereira in a moment on what I think Pat Shurmur's still hot about. They picked up the flag when the Cowboys defense had 12 men out there. Granted the timeout. Here's one to Cooper. He's been busy. He's got a first down out across the 20. Mike, just talk us through the mechanics for an official here. First of all, is the intentional grounding. There's no doubt about that, but I think Pat Shurmur's still upset about not getting a first down by penalty on Dallas. We'll get that after a first down from the Cowboys here.
Box this, box guy. 47, you got him.
Handoff is to Pollard. Pollard gets 1. So let's go back to that last series of events. Here's the hit that happened at the end of the play with Manning.
Yeah, and that's clear intentional grounding. The issue is you've got the 3 deep officials that basically throw the flag for the defense 12 men. They had counted 3 seconds in the formation. It's a foul. But if it's at all close to the coach calling a timeout, you lean to the coach calling the timeout. You go to that first. So I understand why he's upset, but they did that correctly on the field.
2nd down and 9 here. Blitz coming. Buffet. Gallup. What a throw. Cowboys picked up the blitz. Carter had pressure. Prescott dropped it in for 36 to Michael Gallup.
Well, you got Gallup working against the rookie, DeAndre Baker, and he's got a target on his chest, his first NFL game, and they lock him up one-on-one, and this is where Prescott and Gallup failed to connect often enough in 2018. A lot of times Gallup had gotten behind the defense. They just were not on the same page. They spent a lot of time on that. This time it works for him.
Fake it to Elliott. Passes behind, but there's Gallup again with a first down inside the 20.
It's a nice route by Gallup, and the defender was coming over to try to take that away. I think that's why that ball was thrown behind him. But here's the deep ball with Gallup being able to go and make a play on it. That's a nice job by him.
Cowboys struggled in the red zone last year. 48% converting these chances into touchdowns. Elliott takes it down inside the 15. That was the 4th lowest percentage in the NFL as Elliott picks up 4.
Well, I think if you talk about Kellen Moore as the play caller now, and where does his impact need to be felt the most? This is where that has to happen, Joe. I mean, they did some good things last year on offense, especially after Amari Cooper was brought in. It's a totally different season from before Amari Cooper, but they've got to be better down here.
Flag as Cobb has a first down for the moment.
Tripping, number 70, offense, 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Well, that's 2 on Zach Martin, and you just have to believe that And for a guy struggling with a disc issue in his back, he's doing all he can, and here he gets called for tripping. And Mike Pereira, thumbs up, says that's a good call.
You never know, and you go into these first games, the season openers, and especially for, it seems to be more the norm these days than it once was, but a lot of guys not playing much in preseason. You see a lot of rust, and as you talked about, now we've seen a couple penalties on Zach Martin.
Quick throw, pass is caught. That's Cooper. Antonio Hamilton, who is supposed to split time out on the edge with DeAndre Baker today after a gain of 6, is there to tap him down.
Well, Amari Cooper, he's getting a lot of respect out there because of his speed and what he's capable of doing. A lot of soft coverages when they've lined up against him.
Jameis Olawale, the fullback, who, as Troy said, can do a lot of things back there with Prescott. 3rd down and 10. Late blitz, pass caught. Cobb fights through a tackle and gets a first down as he went through Hamilton. What an effort by the vet.
Well, the Giants were in man coverage, and it's a well-designed play by offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, and it allows Cobb then to get that space and separation for what was a very easy completion.
Prescott keeps, flips, Witten, welcome back, touchdown Dallas. '69th touchdown for the future Hall of Famer. And 2012 Walter Payton Man of the Year.
You can see Witten, he sells the run. Michael Thomas, the safety, he bites. He's looking in the backfield. He's reading run the entire way. Witten does a good job of holding it. It's a nice drive there by the Cowboys.
This crowd is buzzing in Arlington. 14 straight points put up by the Dallas Cowboys. Jason Witten out of the booth into the end zone. Cowboys up by 7. Jason Witten got the loudest ovation of any Cowboy introduced before this game, louder than even Zeke or Dak. His 16th season. And Jason Garrett is happy to have the former Monday Night Football analyst back in the fold.
Oh, you could tell Dak Prescott when we visited with him on Friday, he was thrilled to have him back. A lot changes over the course of a year within a locker room, but they welcomed him back with open arms.
Aaron, it seems like Jason Witten is kind of going overboard. It's just the kind of guy he is to make sure he's not upsetting the leadership hierarchy here with the Cowboys on his return. Absolutely. We talked about it, Joe. He told me he knew getting into game shape after a year away would be easy, but he didn't want to come back and mess with the leadership and the dynamic that they had in the locker room while he was gone. Everyone said, knock it off, just come back. He said being away obviously makes him appreciate it more. It still feels like, though, guys, 16th season, he has so much to prove since he took that year off.
That's it. 118. What's it?
Manning, Shepard, who was in motion at the start of the play, and Sterling Shepard forced out by Jalen Smith after a gain of 11.
Well, it's still early, of course, in this ball game, but you look at the Giants and who they've gotten the ball to. It's no surprise it's been Ingram, Shepard, and Barkley within the passing game, and that's the trio when you look at them. They went out and they signed Golden Tate this offseason, which I thought was a good pickup. He's a heck of a football player, and he's going to be out for 4 games, and they desperately miss him. They're trying to hold it together while he's gone, but in a game like this, against a defense that is awfully good, they can sure use it.
Barkley, Jalen Smith first to lay hands on him. Golden Tate is out for 4 games on a PED, performance-enhancing drug violation, so he's not even allowed back in the facility until week 5. This is a Giants team that is at home against the Bills, at Tampa Bay, at home against Washington, Then Tate comes back, and they're at home against the Vikings. 2nd and 8 here.
Well, we knew coming in that, like I said, there's a lot of football left in this one, but, tough game against a tough opponent. And then you look down the road, of course, we're all going to be trying to figure out what all these teams are. But some of those opponents over the next 3 weeks, you'd say, Giants should fare pretty well.
Cowboys were screaming for a false start. See if they get it.
False start, number 74, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
It's Mike Remmers, who didn't practice on Wednesday, dealing with the flu and a bad back. Had a procedure over the offseason, and Lawrence made him flinch.
And some of that movement I was talking about by this defensive front, a lot of times it happens after the snap, but it's an athletic group. Even their big guys, Malik Collins inside, Antoine Woods, big number 99, all of these guys are athletic big men.
Screen didn't work. It's broken up, and right now they're calling it a catch and a fumble. I don't know about that. Jeff Heath came up, delivered the hit. They let the play carry on, and we'll see what the call is. And it's incomplete, as I believe it should be. We'll take a look.
The ruling on the field was a forward pass, and it is incomplete. Pass is incomplete. It's 3rd down.
Yeah, that happened so fast. I mean, there was no element of time there as far as whether or not it was a catch. Clearly, that was not the case. Then you think, well, maybe they thought it was a backwards pass, which that wasn't the case either.
So it's 3rd down and 13. There's Ingram on the receiving end of both the football and the hit from Jeff Heath.
Let's see what defensive coordinator Chris Richard wants to do here. Looks like they're just going to rush 4 guys, play coverage in behind it.
Manning, Ellison, the tight end won't get it. Anthony Brown came up and combined with Jalen Smith to make Chris Richard clap his hands. His defense brings up 4th down.
Well, they got a heck of a unit. I mean, they're solid at every level. Talked about their defensive front led by DeMarcus Lawrence. Their linebacking core. I mean, when you have a linebacking core that keeps a healthy Sean Lee off the field on 3rd downs, it says a lot for what you have with Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. And their secondary is an underrated group. I think they're really solid there too.
Dixon drives Tavon Austin out of bounds. Cowboys get the ball back. There are those 2 terrific young linebackers for the Cowboys, up 7. See some of the names on the Ring of Honor here in Arlington, Texas. It's the 100th NFL season, and we are so honored at Fox to be able to bring you the Super Bowl at the end of the year, February 2nd, 2020 in Miami, Super Bowl 54. Play action. Kellen Moore going heavy pass here in the first half as Gallup hops out with a nice gain of 6. Hamilton forced him out. That's 19 throws, 8 rushes so far for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and not completely surprising either, considering that Zeke just came back. But also when you look at where the Giants were a year ago, they're pretty good against the run and really struggled against the pass. And they overhauled the secondary, but the results, at least in this game so far, have been what they were last year, an inability to cover anybody.
This goes as a pass. I think they're going to like this guy. Randall Cobb. And a nice gain on 2nd down. He gets 18. And you saw the graphic on our Fox box. Dak Prescott already has set a career high for first half passing yards. And he's got about 7 minutes to go before the half.
Nice job by Kellen Moore, just taking advantage of some of the skills there that Randall Cobb has.
Play action, another throw. That's Gallup. And a gain of 6. There's Kellen, who my Hall of Fame partner called the Pizza Boy. The start of the broadcast. You'll hear about that. There's nothing you do in this town you don't hear about on Monday, especially on the ticket.
Somebody will take it the wrong way.
I know. It was a term of endearment. We're jealous. He looks young. He's 30. He is young.
He is young. Very young in every way. Coaching.
Prescott keeps. Prescott delivers a blow and has a first down.
You know, with Kellen Moore talking about this being his first NFL game to call plays, even though he's done it in the preseason, he called plays of his own when he was in high school, his junior and senior year. His father was a longtime high school coach. He coached Kellen and his brother's a wide receiver, who's now coaching for Fresno State. And you just know those guys. He grew up with it. He was drawing plays, you know, at a young age, and you just knew that's what he was going to do. His dad, as I talked about, won 4 state titles as the high school coach, and he's here today watching young Kellen call the plays.
Prescott steps through downfield. Olawale, the fullback, incomplete. He was locked up with Lorenzo Carter, and those are 2 big bodies running a long distance. Incomplete.
They showed this a lot in camp. This wheel route, you call it, for Olawale coming out of the backfield, and you see the mismatch. That this guy can really run. I mean, unless you really study him, you don't understand that. They're trying to run Lorenzo Carter down the field. He's a pretty good athlete himself. But just unable to get it all the way out. Olawale had a step.
Second down and 10. Prescott passes dropped. That's Cobb. Flag is down.
Holding, number 21, offense. 10-yard penalty, still second down.
Against Elliott.
Zeke right here. Linebacker pressure, and he tackles him. That's the rookie Ryan Connolly, who they really like. Talking to Dave Gettleman before the game. It's just a matter. He's been on the field a fair amount here in this first half as well. It's only a matter of time before he takes over a more prominent role in this defense. But Zeke was tackling him.
Second and 20. Good pocket. Pass is caught. Flag flies. That's Cobb again. And this time the flags comes out of the secondary. And if it's a hold, it's an automatic first down against the Giants.
Prior to the pass, holding number 58, defense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Tay Davis.
There he is right in the middle. Gets a hold of Blake Jarwin. That's a good call. Randall Cobb on that route. A lot of time in the pocket for Dak Prescott. They got a couple of hits on him early in this game, but since then he's had a lot of time. He's shown the improvements that he's made, even though some balls have gotten away from him. There's been some nice catches, but he's 17 of 22 right now in this first half.
Hand off to Elliott. Ogletree drags him down. Gain of 5. We've talked a lot about Kellen Moore. They have 3 other ex-quarterbacks who have played in this league. Jason Garrett, obviously the head coach. John Kitna, now the quarterback's coach. He's worked a lot on mechanics with Dak Prescott. And Doug Nussmeier is the tight ends coach.
Sometimes you get that many quarterbacks, too many chefs in the kitchen, but it can also be really helpful. Everyone understands that the objective for any coordinator is to try to make the offense quarterback friendly and play to that guy's strengths.
Pass is caught by Tavon Austin for a first down. And Tavon had only 14 touches from scrimmage last year, 8 catches, 6 runs, and they get him involved.
Yeah, he's in the slot now, and I just sense watching this offense with Kellen Moore's direction that we're going to see a lot of guys getting more action like Tavon Austin that other times were put on the shelf.
Here's Elliott, gets to the edge, flag flies. First down for now. When Austin made that catch, that's the 7th different receiver Dak Prescott has found in this first half.
Illegal shift. Offense. Number 19 was never set, and other players had moved prior to his movement. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That eliminates a 16-yard carry by Elliott.
Well, Tavon Austin, he had moved, and Amari Cooper was already in motion before Tavon Austin got set, so that meant then that he had to get set before the snap of the ball. It's a nice job by the officials.
47, yellow 80, yellow 80, going to 47. Right 80,
Antoine Buffet, the 35-year-old safety, signed a 2-year deal, came up to make the stop on Tony Pollard, a gain of 2. Pollard never had more than 78 carries in a season in his 3 years at Memphis. 4th-round pick. That was the magical round that the Cowboys found Dak Prescott in 2016. Had over 1,000 scrimmage yards last year and returned 7 kickoffs for touchdowns. And with Elliott's holdout, they saw a lot more than they would have ordinarily with Tony Pollard, and loved him.
Yeah, the only thing we really haven't seen from this offense is them throwing the ball to Tony Pollard. He's a dual threat, can do a lot as a receiver also.
Good protection, pass underneath Jarwin. And that'll bring up 3rd down. Short gain, good coverage by Antonio Hamilton, a gain of 4.
Well, we talked about the Giants and their inability to cover people a year ago, and a lot of that had to do with the fact they couldn't put any pressure on anybody. They were only 30 sacks last season, and their sack leader, Olivier Vernon, was traded to the Cleveland Browns. And you know, where is that going to come from? And 30 minutes into this ball game, you know, we're still asking ourselves the same question.
Flag looked like the Giants jumped, and the pass incomplete. And it's an offside call against New York.
Offside, number 44, defense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That was Marcus Golden, who jumped across early, and he was the one that got pressure.
Yeah, right there. And Dak Prescott's done a good job with snap count in this game. And you know, James Bettcher, the defensive coordinator, every coordinator, and we've seen it from the Cowboys. Chris Richard can rush 4 guys and get pressure on Eli Manning. James Bettcher doesn't have that luxury, and he's not going to just sit back and let Prescott throw the football. Now you start bringing guys, and with the young secondary, you know, in a lot of ways. Janoris Jenkins is in his 8th year. Antoine Bethea, a pickup this offseason. He's the old man in the group for 14 seasons.
Prescott keeps and gets the 1st down. Gets hit by Jabril Peppers, but picked it up. Gain of 8. Prescott with a career-high 75 rush attempts a year ago. That carry of 8 takes us to the 2-minute warning in Arlington, Texas. Giants got the first 7 points. Cowboys the next 14, and they're on the move again. Eli standing and watching as the Cowboys have racked up 280 yards of offense, 16 first downs. Dak Prescott has gone 19 of 24 for 235 yards. The first half record for him in 3+ years, 2 touchdowns. From the 25, Elliott cuts, takes it near the 20. Kareem Martin on the stop.
Well, you look at this ball game, and right now this is a big possession for this Giants defense, and being able to come up with a stop and at least force a field goal. They get the ball to start the second half. And you feel like if the Cowboys are able to cash in here with a touchdown before this first half ends, that you know, it could be a runaway train in the second half.
Elliott incomplete. Good throw that time from Prescott. Elliott couldn't haul it in. Davis in coverage, now 3rd and 5.
Good throw and a good placement right there. Yeah, that's one that is Ezekiel Elliott. He's not been on the field at all that I have seen on 3rd down. We got Jason Witten now, who's someone's being tended to. Maybe no, it's for the Giants. Antonio Hamilton.
Those two came together, both get looked at. Witten is up, and now Hamilton as well. 3rd and 5 when we come back.
It is sponsored by the all-new Impossible Whopper, made from plants and now available nationwide only at BK. And by State Farm. Talk to an agent today.
Trying to figure out how in the world this happened. Either Hamilton or Witten were injured on the play. Somehow their shoes got locked together and they had to cut the laces apart.
Never seen anything like that.
All right, so 3rd down and 5. Each side with 2 timeouts remaining, and this is the 13th play of this drive. Prescott and one-on-one goes to Cooper for the touchdown against the rookie Baker. How about that for aggressive? Everybody bunched up on the right side, and Dak went deep to Cooper.
Well, Dak uses hard count. He recognizes that the Giants are coming, and he knows he's got one-on-one on the outside with Amari Cooper, as good a route runner as there is in all of football, against the rookie, DeAndre Baker. It's just, that's taking candy from a baby right there. I mean, that's easy pickings, and Prescott throws a perfect pass. We talked about it. He felt great coming into this season. Feels like he's seeing the field better than he ever has. And it has shown here in this first half.
He's thrown 3 touchdowns to 3 different receivers, and the Cowboys are over 300 yards in this first half. And when it comes to Dak and Amari, I kind of feel like the cash register is ringing somewhere.
Well, you look at it, Joe, and you see what Julio Jones got. I mean, that's kind of the benchmark now for Amari Cooper. A lot of money. Here's Amari Cooper. He's got a couple steps there on Baker, but you still have to deliver the throw. And as I talked about with Prescott and Gallup earlier in this game, too many times last year they were unable to connect on some of those throws. But today, you know, the only one that Prescott really is somewhat missed down the field was the one to Olawale when Lorenzo Carter was in coverage on him. But he's thrown some really nice passes, just basically walked down there and handed it to him.
We had a chance to meet with Dak and the Cowboys on Friday. When he walked in, I know he claims to be the same weight. He just has a different look about him. He looks like he's leaned out a little bit. And as you said, he said it clicked for him the back end of last year as Ballantyne forgot the ball. And it looks like it's carried over for Prescott. Here's Kurt. What's coming up at the half?
Coming up on the Visa Halftime, we'll have all the highlights from this first Sunday of action in the new NFL season, including the Bengals and Seahawks, plus the Colts playing in their first contest without the newly retired Andrew Luck while they visit the Chargers. Don't go anywhere. The Visa Halftime is next.
Yeah, everybody gets to really start forming their opinions on who's good, who's not, who's overhyped, who's been undersold. As the curtain comes up on 2019, and now from the 25, trailing by 14, here are the Giants. Just a 4-man rush. Pass is caught by Ingram out to the 31. Jeff Heath delivered the hit.
Well, we'll test that offensive line now for Eli Manning, trying to come away with some points here with just under a minute and a half. And against one of the premier pass rushers in football, DeMarcus Lawrence.
Pass caught by Shepard. That's a first down. Gain of 6. 2 timeouts. And this is taking a bit of time. Under 40.
A lot of time.
Pass is caught. That's Latimer, a former second-round pick by the Denver Broncos out of Indiana. Hops out of bounds with a gain of 9. 26 seconds left. For Latimer, that's just career catch number 47. as he plays in his 6th year in the league. 2nd and 1. Now a 3-man rush. Shepard's got the first down as he takes it into Dallas territory, and a timeout taken by the Giants. They have one left. And we'll be right back after this from Geico. Aldrich Rosas, the place kicker for the Giants, his career-long 57 yards, which is 10 yards of field position away. You get the feeling the Giants need something bigger than that. Over the middle, pass is caught. That's Fowler. Knocked down by Smith, and now the Giants have to use their final timeout after a 6-yard throw over the middle of the field. Most seasons in Giants history. Well, now Eli Manning sits on top. You've got the Hall of Famer Mel Hein, who played 15 years in the 30s into the 40s. Phil Simms, 15. Michael Strahan, 15. Eli now at the top of the list as he plays in his 16th season after that draft day deal with the Chargers back in 04. Took over a 5-4 team that was piloted by Kurt Warner. Missed only one game since. Not due to injury. 2nd and 4. Backpedaling, incomplete. 11 seconds remain as Latimer was the target.
Yeah, no timeouts. They were pretty methodical, and they wasted a lot of time there at the line, and just kind of taking the underneath throws. And so now, not much time to try to get the ball down the field. I mean, right now, Eli's got to be very smart with the football here on 3rd down to at least give Rosas a chance to come away with a field goal before this half expires.
Pass to the sideline, incomplete for Ingram. That brings up 4th down, and the Giants are compelled to leave their offense out there. Outside of field goal range, and now with 9 seconds, no timeouts, you're going to have to get something close out of bounds and get Rosas out there with a chance to get points before the half.
Yeah, Dorrance Armstrong, who started off hot last year, really solid early in the season, and then kind of tailed off and hit the rookie wall. He was able to get a push that, what should have been a relatively easy completion was not because of his pressure on Manning.
Timeout, Dallas.
Cowboys
30-second timeout.
Right now the Giants are passing on a 61, 62-yard field goal. Last year we saw Brett Maher hit from 62 here against Philly. How about Nick Foles? He left the game with what we were told was a left shoulder injury early. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs pick up where they left off. And Carson Wentz rallies the Eagles. They were down 17-0 at home to the Washington Redskins and came back and won that ball game.
You figure you called it that they're 5 yards away from where Rosas' career long is. They see these guys in practice, so I'm just assuming he's not been able to hit enough from this distance. Otherwise, I think they'd be trying the field goal.
So instead, Hail Mary time, and it's batted down by Jeff Heath. And that's how the first half comes to a close. So really not very well handled by the Giants on offense there at the end of the half. 38 Heath up to knock it down.
That's a good job by Heath. He could have very easily have intercepted the ball, but when you try doing that, a lot of times it pops up, and then that's when it gets intercepted.
We're going to get a challenge from Pat Shurmur, but let's hear Walt Anderson. That would have to be initiated, Mike, from the booth, no? Shurmur's thrown the red challenge flag, but we're inside 2 minutes. And Walt Anderson says
this is the end
no,
of the first half.
The half is over. So they'll just pick up the flag. Shermer wanted to get another look. He's still yelling at Walt Anderson. But we're inside 2 minutes. So Shermer's doing what he can as his team walks off to the locker room down by 14. 21-7, and we go to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles for the Visa halftime show, which starts right now.
Everybody got a plan till they get hit in the mouth. How you gonna respond today? Let's protect our house.
That was today's game flow, brought to you by Progressive. We're about to start the second half. The Giants will start with a ball. We're going to go back in a moment and take you through that sequence of events at the end of the first half. When Pat Shermer tried to challenge on that Hail Mary at the end of the half. We'll hear from Mike Pereira, who was with us. There are the first half numbers. See the difference in time of possession, the first downs, the total yards. One big play by Saquon Barkley, a 59-yard run. Other than that, not much for the Giants, who were frustrated walking back to the locker room. Here's Ballantyne, the rookie. Survives one hit and then crosses the 25, and there's a flag down on the play.
During the return, holding number 31, receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's against Michael Thomas. What'd you learn, Aaron Andrews, at the half?
Well, you said the Giants a little frustrated going back to the locker room. Not the case for Jason Garrett. Very happy with his mix on the offense. Would like to see a little bit more from the running game, but he said it all starts up front with his offensive line, the tight ends, and he felt like his defense really had a chance to settle down after Saquon Barkley's long run. For him, he said they're going to have to really monitor some guys here. Take off some plays, make sure they stay fresh because they don't want anyone getting hurt, especially the ones that didn't participate in preseason, Joe.
Yeah, this is where the depth can really help. First game, not a lot of action in the preseason when it's been in a real game. Latimer, what a nice catch. Got it one-handed, it looked like, as he worked against Awuzie. That was beautiful.
Sure was. I mean, that was a great throw to start this second half by Eli Manning. The coverage by Awuzie didn't look too bad. That's just perfect ball placement. And you're right. Latimer, he's able to bring that in with one arm. You know, we talked about the ability of Ingram and Sterling Shepard. Latimer is the guy who they like to get down the field because he is a bigger body. That time he's just able to corral it with the one arm, and a nice big play to see if they ever come away with a touchdown like they did with Saquon Barkley.
This play does not develop after the 43-yard completion to Cody Latimer. Pressure on that last play by Lawrence. Mike, at the end of the first half, we saw Pat Shermer trying to challenge on that Hail Mary.
Well, he did challenge, and you can't, of course, because it's inside of 2 minutes. He was thinking on the Hail Mary there was interference. There was not. But they talked about this at halftime. Technically, it's unsportsmanlike conduct. Could have been enforced on the kickoff here in the third quarter. But they talked about decided it's an administrative stop. They didn't do it. I think that's actually a wise choice.
Second down and 10 from the 42. Handoff here. And a gain of 2. Marcus Lawrence on the stop. And that was Eli Penny on the carry. Barkley comes in. It's almost to the point when you do these games with the Giants, they can't get the ball to him enough. I mean, it's like he should be touching it more than he has in this game.
Right, and they each had the same number of offensive possessions, 4 in the first half. The Cowboys scored on their last 3. Giants did not convert on third downs, and when that happens, you're not going to get many touches.
It's third down and 8 here, and this one's broken up. A lot of contact, no flag. Awuzie and Latimer again. And Eli is looking for a flag, wondering why the Giants didn't get a call here.
There definitely was a lot of contact, and I'd challenge that if I was. Let's see if I don't think the ball was touched in any way at the line of scrimmage, and if you They haven't converted on third down yet in this ball game. If you're Pat Shurmur, I think I'd be looking at challenging that call or non-call.
Mike, do you think that'd be a good challenge?
Based on what we have seen so far this year, no. Did it significantly hinder? Was it clear and obvious? I think he made the right choice not to challenge that.
But they'll go for it on 4th down and 8. Down by 14 points. Near sideline pass is caught. What a catch by Benny Fowler. Another former Bronco. And Benny Fowler with the ability to get both feet down and drag that left foot as he headed out of bounds.
That's really good and very decisive by Eli Manning, knowing exactly where he was going with the football, and the timing on that was outstanding. But Fowler, the one who's able to finish it off for the first.
11 yards on 4th and 8. Cowboys blitz. Manning throws to that side. Pass caught by Shepard. Let's go back to that catch by Benny Fowler on 4th down.
Yeah, it's really good by him, securing the football all the way through the catch and being able to keep his feet in bounds.
See if the Giants can turn this, as you said a moment ago, into a touchdown. Extra offensive lineman comes in, Nick Gates. Barkley's only run it 5 times, now 6. And he's got a first down just outside the 10.
This guy's so explosive between the tackles, and then with the speed that he possesses, his ability to catch the football. You know, last year when we had a Giants game, Pat Shurmur said, hey, he's a generational talent. And that's exactly what he said again to us. I'm sure he says it to every crew that's calling their games. And he really is. I mean, he's a special player. And everyone really knew that coming in last year, that he was something special.
Here he is to the 10. And the other part of it is he's 22 years old. He was voted a captain by his teammates. You can't fool a locker room. They love him. And when you get a chance to know him, and obviously we only meet him in passing and ask him questions about the team, but there's an aura to him that you can see. A guy just want to be around him. He's just a good young man.
Yeah, really impressive. Impressive young guy. The problem for him last year was they'd get behind in these second halves. He didn't get a chance to carry the ball often.
Manning out to his right and throws it away. They had a funny look to the start of the play, and it was well covered by Dallas defensively. So back to 3rd down, 3rd and 9.
Yeah, you know, Saquon Barkley last year, he only had 170 yards rushing in the 4th quarter because they were behind so much. They were just playing catch up and throwing the football. And you think of what he might have been able to do had they have had some leads, much like Ezekiel Elliott's been able to do over his first 3 seasons.
Got 2 guys tying his shoes. 3rd down and 9. Manning, end zone broken up. Lewis knocked it away from Sterling Shepard. And field goal unit will come on for the Giants.
That's pretty good coverage right there. Jordan Lewis on coverage, but the Cowboys have brought a 4-man rush throughout this game. They really have not brought any pressure, but that time Dorrance Armstrong, he was able to get to Eli. The offensive line has protected him very well, but he got to Eli and made him throw the ball probably a little sooner than what he really wanted to, but Jordan Lewis does a good job.
Rosas finished last year off as a Pro Bowler, made his last 19 consecutive kicks. Hits from 28, and it's 21-10.
Today's game is sponsored by Progressive Insurance, handing off big savings to you.
Welcome back to kickoff weekend. Big weekend around the NFL. Aerial coverage brought to you by State Farm. It has been smoking hot in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Triple digits. Hot outside. Roof is closed. Pleasant inside as the Giants put together an 11-play drive that ends in a 28-yard field goal by Rosas. who again knocks it out of the back of the end zone. With that, we'll go to Carissa Thompson with a game break.
Thanks so much, Joe. Bucks leading the 49ers 7-6 early in the second half. Jameis Winston's pass is intercepted by Richard Sherman. Returned 31 yards for the touchdown. Jameis now has 44 interceptions since 2016. Looking at 20-7 for the 49ers. Good start for them. Joe?
Yeah, that's why Bruce Arians was brought in, to try to limit those mistakes. Jameis Winston, that one costly. From the 25, first down. Prescott down the middle has Cooper. Another big play. And Prescott has all day back there to find a receiver.
Well, Antoine Bethea is the one who is in coverage. A lot of time in the pocket. There's nobody in the middle of the field, and it's just a foot race. And Cooper is going to win that one against the 35-year-old Antoine Bethea.
Longest play of the game for Dallas, 45 yards. Cooper over 100. Elliott. Jenkins with a stop, a gain of 5, back to the completion to Cooper.
Well, Bethea is right here. Amari Cooper's going to come here, and you can see the safety. He moves out of there, and all that field. I mean, it's just throw it out there and let him go get it. And just slightly underthrown by Prescott. Otherwise, that's a house call. Just terrible coverage there by the New York Giants.
Over the middle. Here he is again. This time, it's Cobb. Absolutely wide open, but a flag is down at the 15. Let's hold on. Cobb has been busy and was left alone.
The pass, illegal contact, number 30, defense. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
4 catches, 69 yards, and a Cowboy touchdown for the longtime Packer.
Well, you see what happens. It's 2 deep safeties. And, okay, anytime you get 2 deep like that, you look for who's taking the middle of the field. Randall Cobb is that guy. And off of the play action, you got Ogletree who bites up. And, I mean, that's as good as it gets on both of those throws. The one to Amari Cooper, the one to Cobb. It doesn't get better than that for any quarterback in this league.
What a day for this Cowboys offense. And Dak Prescott and Cobb and Cooper, and right on down the line, 28-10.
Someone down.
Dak Prescott is over 300 yards for the 6th time in his career. A long way to go still in this one. Randall Cobb with a 25-yard touchdown catch, and Prescott has found 4 different receivers for his 4 touchdown passes. This Dallas Cowboys offense has a different feel and look to it, even though they were a division-winning team a year ago. They get their center back. They have a different offensive coordinator. They have more weapons. They get Witten back. And down by 18, the Giants will start at the 25. Now, welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck with the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, and this has been impressive. When we were at their facility on Friday and Dak Prescott walked in, you just sensed that it had a different feel about it. There's optimism, and for good reason.
For good reason, yeah. I mean, he worked hard this offseason to put in the time. He said he never felt better than he felt coming into this season. A lot of that is because it is his 4th year. The other reason is he's got his center back. He's got some talented players around him. You know, the Cowboys thought that, there's talk anyway, that they might be able to get him signed before this game kicked off.
Fowler with a nice catch and run for a first down.
Well, for Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones, the price might have just gone up. The way he has thrown the football, and you know, pointed out on that last drive, for instance, that, you know, there were open guys. I mean, the coverage was not very good. Some well-designed stuff by Kellen Moore, but a year ago, there were times when those throws were there that Dak didn't always make them. And today, he has made them. The work that he's put in has really paid off.
Here's Barkley. Get him rolling. And Saquon brought down by Byron Jones, the Pro Bowler from a year ago, coming off hip surgery, a gain of 7. Can you hold out between weeks 1 and 2?
I'm sure you could. I have a feeling that negotiation might go the same way that Zeke Elliott's did.
All right, come on, we'll sign.
All right, here you go. We got Washington. Let's go.
There you go.
55, Rocco.
Fine. Take your money. 2nd and 3.
Yeah.
Barkley wasn't looking for it. He and Eli Manning not on the same page there.
Yeah, I think Barkley was expecting it much further down the field, and if that becomes a foot race, that's probably one that Barkley wins. If Eli holds this and lays it up so that Xavier Woods has to cover him down the field. Xavier Woods he's a really good player, but I don't think he can run with Saquon Barkley.
3rd down, pass caught, 1st down, Ingram. Evan Ingram has just had a tough time staying healthy, nagged by injuries last year, concussion early, a sprained MCL, hamstring injury, led the Giants in receptions his rookie year with 64 back in 2017. 13-yard completion there, and that was the first 3rd down conversion by the Giants in the game. Play action, good protection, time runs out. Manning stays alive, goes to the sideline, and has Latimer. It wasn't exactly Eli Manning in Super Bowl 42, but somehow he stayed upright and completed it to Cody Latimer.
Well, he had good protection, but then he just couldn't find somewhere to go with the ball. They had a 2-on-1 isolation here where Latimer, he opens up, he gives him the hand, but it wasn't until Eli had escaped the rush before he was able to find him.
No helmet necessary for the catch. Barkley, wow, just able to stay up and still doesn't go down, but his forward progress was stopped. By the way, the Cowboys sideline and Jason Garrett threw the challenge flag prior to the snap. He just went and picked it up a moment ago, and I guess nobody saw it. He might have been challenging as to whether Eli Manning was down when he was back there. Mike Pereira?
I think that's what he wanted to challenge, but he would have lost that challenge because only the hand went down. But they obviously didn't see it before the ball was snapped.
So now 2nd and 6. Play action. Fowler on a catch. Another 3rd down coming up. Kevon Frazier with the stop, and I think if anything, this is what Jason Garrett may have been trying to challenge, and as Mike Pereira said, he would have lost.
Yeah, Jason Garrett's view was blocked. Now he's got people upstairs that are talking to him as well, but he couldn't, from where Jason Garrett was on that sidelines, he didn't have a clear vision as to whether or not Eli's knee was on the ground.
So now 3rd and 2. It's the up back carrying and short. That's Eli Penny. A yard short, and it's 4th down. What does Pat Shurmur want to do?
I don't think there's any question that down 18 points here that they're going to go for it. It's just making sure you know exactly what the distance here was. It 4th and a long one. Not all 4th and 1s are equal. And this one looks like a full 1.
5.5 to go, 3rd quarter. Giants trying to hang in there. Eli keeps. Thought about running and wrapped up by Van Der Esch. And he wasn't alone. And a flag is down on the play in the front corner of the end zone, and the Giants think it's against Dallas. Sterling Shepard ended up on the ground, and we'll see if this is a 1st down for the Giants by penalty. Look at this.
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. There is no foul for illegal contact because the quarterback was out of the pocket. It'll be Dallas's football.
Demarcus Lawrence forced the fumble. Eli took a shot to the head, was out of the pocket. No penalty. Cowboys ball up 18.
Today's game is sponsored by the all-new Impossible Whopper, made from Lance and now available nationwide only at BK. And by IBM. Let's put smart to work.
We'll go back to that fourth down play when we can. Can't have illegal contact with the quarterback out of the pocket, but it seemed to be more than just illegal contact. Thankfully, Mike Pereira is here, and he can talk through it as Marcus Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch were in there in the face of Eli Manning, and whatever space he had in front of him, let's shut down in a hurry.
Well, I think what you look at there on 3rd and 1, 3rd and short, they hand the ball to Eli Penny. On 4th and 1, they roll out Eli Manning. You know, you don't give the ball to your best player on either situation. I bet that Saquon Barkley can pick that up.
Here's Elliott, gets a yard. Let's go back to that play and Mike Pereira just talk us through it.
Well, I think they're right. Obviously, when the quarterback's out of the pocket, you know, you can't foul for illegal contact, but Xavier Woods tackled him. I mean, and when you're out of the pocket, you know, that is still a foul. So I really think they caught a break there, because that should have been a 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
We also saw Eli Manning get a hit to the helmet from Demarcus Lawrence, but in the end, Cowboys take over, run it again with Ezekiel Elliott. Gets one more yard. It'll be 3rd down and 8. The last 4 possessions after that initial possession ended at a punt have gone 75 yards, touchdown, 93, 84, 75 yards again. All touchdowns, all 4 touchdown passes to 4 different receivers. Cowboys 5 for 5 on their last 5 third downs. Good protection. Pass is caught. Gallup. Gallup inside the 30 to the 25. No answers from this Giants defense. 62 yards.
You're going to see the confidence of Dak Prescott. And watch him. He gets back. Gallup is not his first read. He's initially looking to the front side. Hits his second read in the progression. He comes back and throws a dart to Michael Gallup. Hits him in stride. That's what allows him to keep on running with the football after the catch. I tell you, Prescott won't be questioning his ability to throw from the pocket after this one.
Now Elliott gets 8. Meanwhile, for Gallup, the 62-yarders a career long, and Michael Gallup in this game has 6 catches for 146 yards.
I think he's a special player. I thought that last year, and I talked about it earlier, that just they were not able to take advantage of some of his abilities and some of the good things that he did. It didn't reflect in the stats as to what kind of season he had. I think he's a really good route runner. He's a conscientious guy. He wants to be great. And he's had himself a heck of a start to his sophomore campaign.
Elliott cuts. And they're going to mark him down at the 15-yard line with a first down. Prescott has already set a Cowboys season opening game pass yardage record with his 388. The guy to my right had 362 back in '99 at Washington in a 6-point win for your crew over the Redskins. And what a debut for Kellen Moore, first-year offensive coordinator.
He's got a lot of pieces to work with, and I mean, he's really utilized them all. He's given them all an opportunity.
Prescott, Witten. And the tackle's made by Ogletree at the 10, a gain of 5.
This is really good by Dak Prescott. They're running a crossing route, expecting man coverage, and they go zone. The Giants do. He's trying to hit Gallup going across, but the Giants release him. They pick him up with Janoris Jenkins on the backside. He sees that, and he comes right down. He knows exactly where he needs to go with the football. It's really good stuff of just knowing, having a good understanding of the scheme and where your outlet receivers are. I tell you, he's doing it all right now.
Elliott gets in on the fun. Touchdown, Dallas. And let's make sure he got the ball across before the knee touchdown. What a drive. Another long one by these Cowboys after getting a defensive stop on 4th down.
Ezekiel Elliott, he finishes off that run. Historically for him, now in his 4th season, he's gotten off to slow starts his first couple of games, and then he's just kicked it into another gear for the next 14. You know, he's been limited today in his carries and how they utilize him. That was just his 13th carry, but he has shown all the things that he had shown in other years and the physicality in which he can run the football, finishing that one for the score.
Right off the beach in Cabo to the star, to the end zone, and his knee, it looked like, was resting on the arm of Alec Ogletree, so it's a touchdown.
We'll be holding training camp in Cabo next year if that's what it does for a player.
$35-10. Prescott, Elliott, a wealth of options. What a day for Jerry Jones in Dallas.
This game is sponsored by the Ford F-150, built Ford tough.
The day for Ezekiel Elliott, 13 carries, 53 yards, averaging over 4 yards a rush, now a touchdown. With a long of 10, 1 catch for 10 yards. This is a rout, 35-10 with 1:14 left in quarter number 3. Valentine can't get to the 15. C.J. Goodwin downfield to make the stop after a return of 18 yards. Start Saturday strong with Big Noon Saturday, as number 6 Ohio State faces Indiana, followed by a Pac-12 Big Ten matchup between Arizona State and Michigan State. Finally, primetime showdown. Jalen Hurts leads number 5 Oklahoma against UCLA. Catch it all on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Drive starts at the 13. Pass is caught by Shepard. Xavier Woods there for the stop for Dallas, a gain of 9.
The Giants, the last drive when they had the ball, they went to the no huddle and tried to preserve time on the clock, and they'll continue, obviously, with a 25-point deficit. They'll continue to try to move the ball as quickly as they can, but defense, let's find a way to come up with a stop.
Manning, incomplete. Contact with Latimer. No flag. Rougier has seen a lot of Cody Latimer in this game, and he was defending again.
Well, I talked about it earlier that, you know, it was a bit of a grab there on that right arm. That this secondary, I think, is very underrated. Byron Jones had a Pro Bowl season last year, another guy who's in line to get paid. He's been limited today because he's coming off a hip surgery, but they've got some good players there on that back end, and I think Rougier is one of those good young corners coming off a solid year. Jordan Lewis, Anthony Brown, they've got some real depth. And then at the safety position, a couple of years ago, they were talking about Earl Thomas and maybe going out and getting a guy in free agency, but the Cowboys sticking with Xavier Woods and Jeff Heath. That's paying dividends for them now.
Timeout is taken here by the Giants before 3rd down and 1. People affected by Hurricane Dorian need help right now. To support those impacted by the hurricane, text Dorian to 90999 to give $10 to American Red Cross Hurricane Dorian Relief. 39 seconds remain in quarter number 3. 3rd down and 1. and they get it. And guess who gets it? Saquon Barkley. Last time they had it, 3rd and 1. Called for intentional grounding. 3rd and 2. They handed it to Eli Penny. 4th and 1. They suffered a sack. Just get 26 the ball, and something good probably is going to happen.
Yeah, good things usually happen when you get the ball to him. Man, he like I talked about the explosiveness that he has one-on-one before you know it. On Woods in the secondary.
He's out. Wayne Gallman is in on 1st down, and there's Gallman. Nice cut up field. Flag is down. Zeitler was out there. Jalapeno were both out on the edge blocking.
Pass interference, number 12. Offense, 10-yard penalty. It's still 1st down, and this is the end of the 3rd quarter.
So Cody Latimer was blocking before that pass was touched. That's why he was flagged, and that's the end of quarter number 3. 35-10 Dallas. Back after this from your local Fox station. Well, here's a guy that wore number 13 for the New York Giants, Odell Beckham Jr. Traded to the Cleveland Browns, had 7 catches in the first game today, but they lost big at home to Tennessee. 1st down and 20 as we start the 4th quarter. And incomplete to Saquon Barkley.
You go into this opening game of the season with high expectations. All 32 teams do. They all feel like they've done things in the offseason that have improved their club, and especially the Cleveland Browns. You think of the hype that they've received here over the last year, 2 years, and to come into this one and pretty much lay an egg. There's a lot of ammunition there for Freddie Kitchens as to how he goes about handling it this week to try to light a fire under that team.
They lost by 30 at home. Here's one caught by Benny Fowler. 3rd and long coming up. Let's go to Kurt Menefee with a game break.
All right, Seattle and Cincinnati. Russell Wilson doing what he does, throwing the deep ball to Tyler Lockett, who does what he does, catches those deep balls really well, gets in the end zone, 44 yards on the score. Seahawks up 21-17 on the Bengals, but the Bengals have it in the red zone right now with 8:42 left to go.
3rd down and 17 here. Ingram. Not close. We talk about Russell Wilson. He got his money over the offseason. 4-year extension, $140 million with $107 guaranteed. Goff just got one. Wentz, 4 years with just under $108 million guaranteed. And then you think about Prescott and where he falls. It's coming. We were around the practice facility, the Star they call it here. And there was a lot of whispering and wondering if the deal might get done, as you said, Troy, before this game. It can't be too far away. They do not want him to get out of the building, as they say. There's contact. There was a fair catch called for, and then contact. So this will be a penalty against the Giants. Cody Core, who was recently added, is downfield. Let's take another look. Tavon Austin calling for the fair catch.
Well, Tavon Austin, obviously he had no opportunity to make a play on the ball, and figure out whether or not he was blocked into him or not. But
Mike, what do you think?
That's the discussion going on right now. Is he blocked into him? To me, I really don't think he is. It doesn't change his direction at all. But they have to make that determination.
Kick catch interference, number 17 of the kicking team. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
And I think that's absolutely correct. What you look to see is if a push, if a block changes the direction of the player, and that didn't. So they did arrive at the right decision.
Cowboys ball, leading by 25 with 13:37 left.
Today's game is sponsored by the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. Next level power.
Look at this graphic. The bottom line, guaranteed money this offseason leading into this week 1 between Elliott, La'el Collins, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Jalen Smith. $185.5 million in guaranteed money as Tony Pollard turns in his best run of week 1. Picks up 5. The purchase price that Jerry Jones coughed up back in 1989, $140 million for the Cowboys franchise. That's $289 million in today's dollars. He went into debt to do it, faced ridicule, and he said, everything profitable I've ever bought, I've overpaid for. Right now, Forbes has this team currently worth $5 billion. And he's got more contracts to do. The man who just threw that pass, Dak Prescott, and Amari Cooper, who this organization picked up from Oakland last year, and Byron Jones, as you said, is probably 3rd on that list.
That's right. And I guess what I'd say to that, Joe, and having experienced it myself, Jerry Jones has never been afraid to spend the money. And it's probably a good thing that there is a cap, you know, because Jerry would corner the market on talent because of his willingness to do whatever it takes to try to field a winner.
Hey, go ahead and come back. Go ahead and come back.
A perfect quarterback rating in the season opener for Dak Prescott. That's Pollard on 1st down.
You know, we talked about it coming into this game, Joe, and I know living here in Dallas and the buzz around the Cowboys and this team and how talented they are and how much depth they have, and that's probably the biggest thing. People say, hey, they've loaded the wagon, they're all in for this year, and yes, that's true. But this team's also positioned for a run as well. When you got a young running back who's now locked up, offensive linemen that are locked up through 2023, 2024, soon to be a quarterback, a #1 wide receiver, a pass rusher, and a cover corner. And those linebackers, they could be good for quite some time in today's NFL, which is really hard to do, as we all know. But I think that whether it's Jerry Jones, Will McClay, Stephen Jones, a collective effort. Now time will tell as to how you handle all this, because not everybody, you can't keep everybody down there. But I think that they've done as good a job of handling some really talented, unique players and keeping them here in Dallas.
3rd down and 5. Then we'll hear from Aaron. Just 1 for 7 on 3rd downs so far in this one. It's Olawale, the fullback. Back there with Prescott. Pass is juggled and dropped by Cooper. Aaron?
Just to add on that, guys, and when I sat with Dak Prescott and talking about Jerry Jones and how busy he was signing guys, you know, Dak had said you look at guys like Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, OBJ who's gone, and the fact that Jerry Jones has made the effort to keep everyone here, he's like, I'm not worried about myself right now. I knew Zeke was going to get done, and the effort from the organization to keep us all together for that run, Troy, has this team very happy.
And you think of what all has happened in Oakland this summer. You don't think John Gruden would love to have that one back with Amari Cooper?
Can I answer that one for you? That's the first punt for Jones since the first drive. All Dallas in this one. Up by 25. Down below, AT&T Stadium. Inside, all the great artwork and the little touches they do in this stadium that make it what it is, where roughly 90,000 are packed in watching the Dallas Cowboys take on the Giants for the 6th time for the last 8 opening weekends. No other matchup has happened more than 3 times over that span. And Eli Manning, who brought his Giants into town when this stadium opened back in 2009 and beat the Dallas Cowboys, is on the short end of a 35-10 game. Gets a catch there. Nice grab, but only a 1-yard gain. 2nd and 9 as Barkley hauled it in.
Yeah, the Giants, unlike the other possessions, not nearly as urgent as they had shown on other possessions.
Nice catch there. That's Ingram, and he rolls forward out across the 25 with the first down. Let's go to Kurt with a game break.
All right, the Colts obviously playing their first game since the retirement of Andrew Luck. Jacoby Brissett leading them to the comeback against the Chargers. This is T.Y. Hilton, 19-yard score. They add the 2-point conversion with 38 seconds left, tying it at 24. And this game is headed to overtime. Joe?
All right, Kurt, thanks. Pass is tipped by Van Der Esch. And then Van Der Esch got a knee to the head. Ingram was the target. And Van Der Esch a bit slow to get up.
That's a couple collisions now for Leighton Van Der Esch. This one looked really dangerous. You see it at the end of this play. Right to the head. And he wears that neck brace that's attached to his shoulder pads. I asked him last year if it was due. That's a dangerous hit. Yeah, I asked him last year if it was due to an injury, maybe that he had at some point in his career. He said no. He just likes to have it. That hits like that'll save you.
Second and 10. Flag is down. Saquon Barkley ripped out of bounds by Jordan Lewis.
I think they're going to get a hold on Will Hernandez, is what it looked like from here, Joe, on the play. The Cowboys.
Holding, number 71, offense, 10-yard penalty, still second down.
And the left guard, number 71, right there, just does not move his feet and holds Christian Covington. And Chris Richard has been consistent throughout this game, just with a 4-man rush. And although the Cowboys only, well, they don't have a sack at all, or excuse me, they have 1 sack on Eli in this game. They have been disruptive, and they forced him to move around a little bit. So it's a real luxury. And this is without Robert Quinn, who's out today, and he'll miss next week's game in a suspension. But he's a guy who will be able to help fortify that pass rush too.
Underneath, it's Ingram. And second and 20, third and long coming up. The other piece to all this is that while we talk about the depth of the Dallas Cowboys, they found these players. They drafted really well. And you go back to the 2016 draft. They got Zeke, Jalen Smith, Malik Collins, Dak Prescott, Anthony Brown, Kayvon Frazier. Look on the other side. Perkins isn't even active for this game. Missed all of last year. The only guy the Giants have to show for that draft, Sterling Shepard.
Well, that's the lifeblood for any team. The Cowboys have drafted very well, not just in that draft in recent years, and it is why they're one of the most talented teams in football.
That ball came out. It sounded like they blew it dead. Even though Tyrone Crawford has the football, as Barkley made the catch, and it's 4th down. Leighton Van Der Esch there to stop him. There's Rod Marinelli, who's the defensive coordinator, Troy, but doesn't call the defense in game.
Yeah, and it started last year when they brought in Chris Richard. Chris Richard, who's essentially titled the secondary passing coordinator. He's calling the plays, and he's really done a nice job of that last year, this year, or this game, and then also coaching up that secondary. Much improved.
Tavon Austin with a fair catch. Cowboys have it, up by 25 with under 8 to go. Some around here. Welcome you back on America's Game of the Week. Call them the Triplets 2.0. They've got some winning to do if they're really going to take over that title, comparing Dak and Zeke and Amari Cooper to you and Emmett and Michael. As Pollard carries and gets a yard. But it's a different feel around here, no doubt. And there they are in the Ring of Honor and also in Canton.
Well, they're really talented players, these 3 guys, and young players, and that was really what was significant for the 3 of us back in the 90s, that we got to go through it all together. Michael came in 88, I was 89, and then Emmett, of course, in 1990. And although Amari was brought in, was not drafted, it has the makings of something really special once they get them all locked up.
Flag is down on Pollard's best run. Looks like it's coming back. It looks like there are 2 flags down on the field. And so Walt Anderson and his crew they get together, and we may have seen the end of Amari Cooper for the game. Remember, he missed the preseason with a bruised left heel. What a debut he had today.
Yeah, and I would think that's the last we see of Ezekiel Elliott as well in this ball game, working him back into things. And if there's a plus for him for the holdout, he wasn't going to play in preseason anyway, but you think of all the work that Tony Pollard got in camp and practice, and we didn't see him really worked into things in the passing game the way that I thought that we might, but we will.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the offense. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, lowering the head to initiate contact, number 20 of the offense. That penalty is declined. Holding, number 76 of the offense. That's a 10-yard penalty. It's accepted. Still second down.
Meanwhile, throughout all of this and all of these bouquets that were heaping on the Dallas Cowboys, and I think rightly so, but time will tell, as Xavier Su'a-Filo is coming to the ballgame. Jason Garrett, their head coach, who's in his 9th full year, took over midway through 2010, is without a contract beyond this season. So he's basically coaching for an extension.
I do know he loves this team and everyone that's on it, all 53 guys. You hear that a lot, but I can assure you that he knows that this is a really talented group.
Good play made by Connolly. The rookie came flying through to knock down Pollard, a loss of 4.
Yeah, I talked about Connolly a little bit earlier in this game. Ryan Connolly out of Wisconsin. You see just a downhill player, really smart, physical, aggressive, not a lot of wasted steps. I think he's going to be taken over soon at one of those linebacker spots, and he's gotten plenty of action here today, but he appears to have a bright future. I know Dave Gettleman is sure high on him.
His nickname in this defense in the linebacker room is the accountant. He can play. They like him. He should get more and more time as this season wears on. And now as the Giants are about to get it back, I think our focus has to shift to the young quarterback that the Giants selected, number 6 overall. And you know this, Pat Shurmur has been frustrated really since kickoff, it feels like, arguing with the officials. He's got a lot on his plate. He's got a big decision in front of him at some point this season, and you know after this game the question will be posed to Pat Shurmur. Is Eli playing next week?
Well, even right now, when you look at the score 35-10, you'd say, well, you'd probably get a young quarterback in and let him get a, if nothing else, just to preserve Eli. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily benching him, but you can only imagine what that would create, and so that won't happen. It's look, it's a sensitive situation, there's no question, and there's no easy way to go about it. Eli went through this in 2004 as the first-round pick. Kurt Warner was 5-4 as the starter, and then Eli took over in the 10th game of the season, and then it was his ball game. And at some point, it's just a matter of when. I mean, I know John Marin visiting with him and his comments publicly, he'd love for Eli to be the starter throughout the year. I would as well. I mean, I'm pulling for Eli. But this is a team more on the defensive side of the ball that just looks like it has a lot of holes. And I don't know if that's going to be possible.
Here's Barkley. A little draw play. He's got a first down. There's so many sides to this. Head coach Pat Shurmur had this quote during the preseason. You can ask me all you want about why I like him. I think it's time to start asking the people that didn't like him what they think, quite frankly. The guy, there was a lot of grumbling on draft day. He was booed at Yankee Stadium. He's in great company in that category. But he's done nothing in the preseason except excite the Giants and Giants fans. He had the best quarterback rating of any quarterback during the preseason. And granted, it's preseason. 29 of 34, 416 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And it's a different deal when the season kicks off, but there's a lot to like here, and there are a lot of angles to this very delicate and tricky situation for the Giants. For the passing of the torch. Ingram, nice throw. And Evan Ingram has a first down at the 30.
It's a really good throw. And yeah, just to follow up, Joe, I like what I've seen. Everybody likes what they've seen. I liked what I saw of him on his pro day, and I think that that's what gives Giants fans hope. And everyone loves what Eli has done. There's no question about that, and his place in the history of this game. But when you've got Saquon Barkley and then you've got what you believe is a franchise quarterback, that brings hope. It brings optimism. That feels good if you're a Giants fan. They haven't had a lot to be optimistic about.
Nice carry by Gallman for 15 yards. Let's go to Kurt with a game break.
All right, obviously, Kyler Murray was the #1 overall draft pick and grew up in the Dallas area, so a lot of people watching your game interested to see how his debut went. So far, not so good. He had an interception, 3 passes batted down, was sacked 4 times. So far, they're in the fourth quarter, 12 of 31, 121 yards, 1 rush for 6 yards, and they're down 24-9 to the Lions. Joe?
Here's a pass to Gallman, who takes it inside the 5. Thanks, Kurt. Van Dugan of The Athletic wrote a great piece detailing the experiences of the young quarterbacks who have been brought in and drafted over these 16 years that Eli Manning has been the Giants quarterback. It's worth a read. As the reach for the touchdown for Gallman. And with 2:49 left in the ball game, Gallman able to break the plane of the goal line with this little reach at the end. And it looks like a good score. But the point was how Eli has brought young guys in, but this is the first time that his quote-unquote successor has been brought in. And talking to Mike Shula, talking to Pat Shurmur, there is a genuine relationship between Eli Manning and Daniel Jones. And Pat Shurmur alluded to this. Mike Shula, unprompted, talked about it. He said, I think there's a little bit of ownership on Eli's part. He genuinely likes and appreciates how good Daniel Jones is. But both guys said that they believe, without Eli saying it, that there's a legacy piece here and that Eli Manning is pleased that whenever that time comes, it's Daniel Jones that he's in essence handing the ball to as opposed to anybody else.
Yeah, that might be true. I wouldn't necessarily argue with that. Like I said, it's not an easy situation for Eli by any means, but you know, he handled this and has handled this as well as you could imagine, as well as you could have expected him to do it. No one's surprised by that. He's been, you know, he's been the epitome of class. That whole Manning family is. So you just, as a quarterback and knowing when my career was coming to an end, now they didn't draft my successor or anything like that, but you know, I knew when it was coming to a close, and it's not a great feeling. And I know that Eli wants to go out on top and do some really great things. That unfortunately for him, the pieces I just don't feel are there, and that has shown up. Now, it was against the Cowboys, who we expect a lot from, and you know, they get a chance to regroup next week. But I know the offensive line is improved, and they should be able to run the football, but their defense has got to start stopping people at some point. They weren't able to last year, and they certainly weren't able to today.
Cooper Rush takes over at quarterback for Dak Prescott.
Okay.
What a day for Dak Prescott. 25 of 32. 405, 4 touchdowns, no picks.
47.
And he has a perfect 158.3 quarterback rating.
I never have understood that exactly. Like, you know, there are incomplete passes. So how can you be perfect if you didn't complete every pass? But he was good. That's splitting hairs right there, right? I mean, it was fun to watch, and you only have to spend about 2 minutes with Dak Prescott and know there's something really different and special about him. And I'm really proud of him and the time he's put in. And to a man, they talk about how fun he is to play with and what a great leader he is. And that was even going back to when he took over as a rookie.
Picked up in the 4th round, took over after Tony Romo got hurt in the preseason against Seattle and went 13-3 and lost a heartbreaking playoff game to the Green Bay Packers. Next Sunday, a huge doubleheader on Fox. The early game, the Cowboys take on the Washington Redskins. Then America's Game of the Week, Drew Brees and the Saints take on Jared Goff and the Rams out in LA. Rematch of last year's NFC Championship game. All happens on Fox and the Fox Sports app. As Pollard carries and Jenkins brings him down. Timeout taken by the Giants before third down. Rams got a win on the road at Carolina. The New Orleans Saints will play on Monday Night Football tomorrow night. Take on the Houston Texans, and they kind of pushed all their chips to the middle. The Texans, with the trades that they made. They got rid of Clowney. They brought in a left tackle in Tunsil. Gave up a lot of draft picks to make that happen, including 2 first-rounders. So they're going for it here in 2019, the Texans. Third down and 7.
Mike 47, Mike 47. Go, go, go! 380.
Pollard bottled up in the backfield and brought down by Zimenez, the rookie out of Old Dominion. And it's fourth down for the Cowboys. That's what's coming up at the Redskins, here against the Dolphins, at the Saints, and we'll have them against the Packers on a late afternoon game on the 6th of October.
Yeah, the Redskins, that game today at Philadelphia, they jumped out ahead of them and surprised me a little bit. You know, the way from what we expect of Philadelphia, but they rallied back, and might be a little tougher game for the Cowboys than what we initially thought coming into the year.
2-minute warning in Arlington, Texas. Fourth down when we come back.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light, reminding you to keep it crisp responsibly.
We're about to have a punt here by the Dallas Cowboys and Chris Jones, and Eli, no helmet. Daniel Jones, rookie quarterback, helmet, which leads us to believe he's coming in. Jabril Peppers, nowhere to go. Thomas in on the stop. Ladouceur, the long snapper, there as well. Well, the can of worms is officially opened. Here comes Daniel Jones. You know, Ernie Accorsi was the terrific general manager when Eli Manning was brought in, talked about how this has to be, told the New York Post, this has to be handled with class, and you always have a soft spot for the guy who won for you. That's Eli Manning. There's no passing of the torch, you don't believe, right here, but they're giving Daniel Jones a chance to play in a regular season NFL game.
Which is interesting if they are going to go no huddle or just try to run the offense. I would think they're going to go no huddle, which is not the easiest thing for a rookie to step into either in his first live game action.
Here's Gallman, who hops out at the 44.
Not too terribly big of a hurry. They're going to go ahead and huddle up. So that's what I was wondering as to how Shurmur was going to handle that, and I think that's good, because otherwise I would have thought, well, you put him in then on the previous drive so that he can just execute the offense. So he's going to let him just run the offense, run some plays, kind of get his feet wet. And by no means, anybody watching this game, can you fault Eli and say this is on him as to why they've lost. He's actually played pretty well.
Ingram pops out at midfield to a man. Whether you're talking about Shurmur, offensive coordinator Mike Shula, who we visited with for a long time before the game, Dave Gettleman, I mean, he's almost better than advertised. They knew they liked him, but now that they've seen him, Mike Shula was saying, I've never seen a 22-year-old kid as relaxed and poised as he is. They almost compare him to like a young Eli Manning.
That's right. And I asked Pat Shurmur what's the one thing that maybe he didn't know about him when they drafted him. He said it's just how poised he is.
Gallman spinning catch out at the 45.
And me watching him in the preseason, I just marveled at, and this was his pro day too, but I just marveled at his ability to get the ball out on time. It's just not something you see a lot of in today's passing game. he was well coached at Duke, and he's a smart guy, and it's obvious he knows the offense and where to go with the football and reading coverages. And it was fun for me to see a young guy come in preseason and do some of those things that you just don't see very often.
961 total yards, the most in the series history. Allison downfield, it's out of his reach, and Jones got hit. Tyrone Crawford with heavy pressure right in his face.
You know, and I would point out that, you know, we talked about the success of the Cowboys in the draft and why that's then positioned them the way that they are now with this talented roster, young players. I don't get him, and he's been in the crosshairs for a lot of people on some of his moves, and I like what he's done. I think he's built a real foundation. This is a better football team today than the one he took over for.
Jones showing how he can move. He stays in. The ball pops out. They're going to rule him down. He got a first down, but he also got hit, and the clock continues to run.
And that's where he's got to get better. If there's an area of his game, it happened in the preseason, fumbled 3 times in August. 2 of them he lost. He also had this problem in college. You know, and it's the NFL. These guys, they go after the football, and they know how to do it. But ball security is clearly the one area where he has to be better.
The runner was down by contact.
Well, we're going to get a booth review.
It's under further review.
This ball is out, and then there was a clear recovery by the Dallas Cowboys, I believe. That's Awuzie who gets on top of it. This could very well be
that's Cowboys ball.
Jalen Smith is the one who hit Daniel Jones, and it looks like his NFL debut will end in a fumble.
Yeah, not even really much of a hit, just a lack of ball awareness.
Yeah.
And security going to the ground.
Smith was the first one to get his hands on him, and it kind of just got knocked out by the backside of the body of Vander Esch. The Cowboys think it's their ball, and it certainly looks to be. The day for Dak Prescott. How about this note? A 158.3 is a perfect passer rating. He is the second Cowboys quarterback with a perfect passer rating in the regular season. The only other one belongs to Craig Morton.
I don't know who's coming up with these graphics. I would have swore he was the third quarterback that done that.
No, see, here's the deal. You had a quarterback rating of 158.2. So by a 1/10 of a point, you missed a perfect quarterback rating back in '93.
Yes, that's more than I knew.
I mean, you came close. It was a good try.
It was awfully good for this offense and for this team. Like I said, when the schedule comes out, and
after reviewing the play, the ball was loose prior to the quarterback contacting the ground. It's a fumble recovered by number 24 of the defense at the 38-yard line. Be Dallas's ball at that spot. Please put 1:17 on the game clock. 1:17.
And Daniel Jones talks to Pat Shurmur on the sideline after the fumble.
And you know, when the schedules come out and you look and see who you're opening up the season against, and you start putting a little time in, those coaches do, the teams do in training camp, and that's why week 1 is so big. You know, you're kicking off the season, but you've had so much time to prepare for them. And then if you come out and you just don't show up and you don't play very well, it really is demoralizing. Those teams that are 0-1 after this weekend, they're wondering if they're ever going to win a game. And when you come out and you play well like the Cowboys did today, boy, it gives you a lift and believing that everything you've been putting the time in for has paid off. And they'll have a great week of practice. They'll be ready to go play the Redskins next week.
Coming up next, the OT presented by Lowe's. All those smiles in the huddle. This is a team awash in choices for Dak Prescott every time he drops back. Gallup with a huge game. Nice debut for Randall Cobb. Amari Cooper did it again. We've got Elliott and Witten and Jarwin. Pollard. And then Pat Shurmur gets to go in and answer questions, I'm sure, about the quarterback position. Fairly not and his defense, which had a rough day today here in Arlington. Saw the upcoming schedule. Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Washington, Minnesota coming up for the Giants. While the Dallas Cowboys are at Washington, at home against Miami, at New Orleans, at home against Green Bay. We'll come back after the break and wrap up the day. America's Game of the Week. And the Dallas Cowboys start this season 1-0. Fun day for this Cowboys offense here in Arlington.